right, next week. The 18th of Elul, Chai Elul, is a very important date on our calendar, or it used to be a very important date on our calendar, because it's the day that the Maccabim finally freed our land from Seleucid-Greek rule. Right? I don't know if you guys know this, but we used to have several Chagim on our calendar, several holidays, several festivals on the Hebrew calendar, celebrating various victories against the Seleucid Greeks, when they ruled our country and we fought for freedom. It's roughly a 26-year war. The only Chag that we still celebrate widely today in our society is Hanukkah, but Hanukkah celebrates a victory that took place towards the beginning of that war. We liberated Jerusalem, that's important. We rededicated the temple, that's important. There's a miracle of the oil lasting 8 days, that's important. But it wasn't the end of the war. That war lasted roughly another 2 decades. And the 18th of Elul is the day that we celebrate total victory, political independence from the Seleucid-Greek Empire. That was the 18th of Elul. Now, after the Second Temple was destroyed, we lost almost all the festivals from that war except for 2, Hanukkah and Yom Nicanor. And then roughly 1,000 years later, we lost Yom Nicanor, and there are people today trying to bring it back. The problem is it's on the 13th of Adar, which today is also Tanit Esther. Right? So it's complicated bringing back Yom Nicanor, but there are ways to do it. We could talk about it when we get closer to Yom Nicanor. But Chai Elul is interesting because when we talk about dates on our calendar, it's important to understand the way our calendar works. We don't celebrate Pesach on the 15th of Nisan because Israel went free from Egypt on the 15th of Nisan. Israel went free from Egypt on the 15th of Nisan because that day was already something in creation. There was a character to that day, an energy to that day. The light of freedom shines into our world on that day. Avraham ate matzot on Pesach. Right? We learned that in the Gemara and the other sources, right? That Avraham ate matzot on Pesach. He celebrated Pesach. Why is Avraham celebrating Pesach if we didn't even go down to Egypt yet? Because that day means something. There's a unique light. All the Chagim on our calendar, there's a unique divine light that shines into the world on that day. And the Chag that ends up being associated with that day and all the laws and rituals and customs associated with that Chag actually help us to access the unique light of that day. It's true for Rosh Hashanah, it's true for Yom Kippur, it's true for Sukkot, it's true for Hanukkah, it's true for all the Chagim on our calendar. There's a unique light shining into the world that we can access through the laws and customs and rituals associated with that day. That's why Avram eats matzot on Pesach. On the 15th of Nisan, he's eating matzot. But we leave Egypt on Pesach, on the 15th of Nisan, because the light of freedom is shining into the world. Also, we took our lives at Masada, rather than become slaves to Rome on the 15th of Nisan. The light of freedom was shining into our world. We launched the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising against the Germans on the 15th of Nisan, or right before the 15th of Nisan, like as it was coming in, right? On Erev Tu B'Nisan, because that light of freedom was coming into the world. Okay? So the 18th of Elul, we won our freedom from the Greeks because there's something unique about that date. It's also, by the way, the Yahrzeit of the Maharal of Prague, the date that the Maharal of Prague left our world. It's also the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, the day that the Baal Shem Tov is born, and 36 years later introduces Ḥasidut into the world. Also, the Baal HaTanya was born on that date, meaning the 18th of Elul means something. There's something powerful there that we can still access, even if we're not saying Hallel with a bracha to celebrate our victory against the Seleucid Greeks. But we have to be aware there's something special about this date still. And what's the connection between all these events? What's the connection between the Maccabean victory, the Yahrzeit of the Maharal, the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, the revelation of Ḥasidut? How are all these things connected? It's all about Torah Nistar. What is Torah Nistar? What is the Torah Sod? What is the Kabbala? Because that's what all these events seem to have in common. That's the common denominator here. And you might be asking, well, what is the Kabbala? What does Torah Sod have to do with the Maccabean victory? So remember, the Maccabim were the faction within Judean society that believed we had an obligation, a halachic Torah obligation, to fight to free our land from foreign rule. We're not allowed to let the Greeks rule our land, even if they let us celebrate Shabbat and do Brit Milah and keep our own calendar and learn Torah. We can't let them rule our land. Their opponents, the Hasidim, there's a group called the Hasidim during the Second Temple period, who fought alongside the Maccabean until the Seleucid-Greeks offered cultural autonomy in exchange for ending the revolt. They liked that idea. Okay, we'll live according to our folkways, and the Greeks will rule. And the Maccabean said no. So that's a machloket between the Hasidim and the Maccabean. Later in history, the Hasidim become the Pharisees, the Prushim, and the Maccabean become the Zealots, the Kanaim. Okay? And the only difference between the Kanaim and the Prushim, the Zealots and the Pharisees, according to Josephus, is that the Zealots hold we have a Torah obligation to fight to free our land from foreign rule. We're not allowed to accept foreign rule over our land. And by the way, this is also the position of the Ramban in his supplement to the Rambam Sefer HaMitzvot. This is also the position of the Pitzchei Tshuva in the Shulchan Aruch and Even HaEzer Siman Ayin Hey, the sixth Pitzchei Tshuva there, Vav. It says that all the Rishonim and all the Achronim hold by the Ramban on this. That we have an obligation to conquer our land always, and not to let any of it fall into foreign hands. So the Zealots ultimately lost. They were crushed by the Romans. Revolt after revolt. And eventually, it says all the Rishonim and Achronim, even though it's not true, even though I can show you Rishonim and Achronim who disagree. Right? There are Rishonim and Achronim that disagree, but the statement of the Pitzchei Tshuva is all the Rishonim and all the Achronim hold this way. Which means what they're trying to say in very dramatic language, what it's saying to us in very dramatic language is this is the mainstream halachic position. That's what it's saying. The mainstream halachic position is we have an obligation to conquer our land always. We don't wait for Mashiach. We have a mitzvah to conquer our land now. And if you're holding your land, you're not allowed to give up any of it. That's what the Ramban is saying, and that's what the Shulchan Aruch, the Pitzchei Tshuva is saying. And so, after being crushed by the Romans over and over again, Rabbi Akiva's student, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, has to escape. He's continuing his teacher's activities as an anti-Roman agitator. Him and his son have to run to a cave up in the north where they learn from Eliyahu HaNavi, who is probably Pinchas, right? Our sages associate Eliyahu with Pinchas. And remember, the whole Zealot movement is based on the personality of Pinchas, the personality of Eliyahu HaNavi, right? So I would argue, either Pinchas Eliyahu played a direct, active role in the revolts against the Greeks and the Romans, like he was there at a leadership level, and it's just not written down anywhere, or he served as an inspirational figure for Matityahu and his sons, for the adherents to the fourth philosophy, right? But these ideas, what we call the Torah of the Zealots, which was the Torah of the Maccabean, was hidden in what we call the Zohar HaKadosh, right? The Kabbalistic writings, which hibernated for many centuries, were inaccessible to most of us. Only the giants understood them. And the Maharal was one of those giants. The Maharal was not only one of those giants, but he took the Kabbala, he took the concepts of the Torah, the hidden Torah, the Torah Asod, Torah Anistar B'Lashon Nigle. Like he took the Torah of the hidden Torah, the secret Torah, and he put it into the language of the revealed. He turned it into a philosophy. The Maharal took the Kabbalah, turned it into a philosophical language. And that basically is the fourth philosophy. And of course, also the Ramchal, also Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi, also the Gaon of Vilna, also Rav Kook. These are the giants who basically took this Torah, took the Kabbalah, and transformed it back into something we can access. which only really became accessible to us with the Six-Day War. Right? When we return to Jerusalem, it says in the Zohar Kadosh that the Shekhinah won't enter Yerushalayim Shel Mala, celestial Jerusalem, the back end of Jerusalem, the code of Jerusalem, until the people of Israel enter Yerushalayim Shel Mata, Jerusalem in this world. Right? When we came back to Jerusalem in this world, it allowed us to access the hidden Torah again. And this became widespread, these ideas. Baal Shem Tov did something a little different with Ḥasidut. Right? The Baal Shem Tov basically took those same secrets of Torah, didn't turn it into a philosophy like the Maharal did, but turned it into a psychology. Applied it directly to human psychology. But all of this is relevant to the 18th of Elul, this Torah, just like the, Lag BaOmer, right? Just like we celebrate Lag BaOmer as a date that celebrates the Torah of Sod, the Torah of Kabbala, the hidden Torah, also Chayav Elul. Also the 18th of Elul is a day to really connect to this Torah.